Welcome, everybody. John Zegar. Good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. 7:09 on the eastern slope of Colorado. Partly cloudy. Rain's over. And all the tornadoes are gone. We're not supposed to get any rain tonight, which is kind of nice. Pretty good temperature, cool. Still hasn't gotten really up into springtime temperatures of the 70s yet. And summer's not that far away, actually. Drinking something bad for me tonight. I'm drinking a Coca-Cola with ice. Isn't that terrible, you guys? So tonight's podcast is going to be common sense neuroscience. So we're just going to talk about neuroscience stuff. And I found this one kind of interesting. So why do people get sick? You know, I harp on this one all the time. You know, we don't have to be sick. We don't have to have disease, you know. We don't have to have terminal illness, all that kind of stuff. But why do we get sick? And here's kind of the science behind it. Now, again, I'm not a doctor. I do research in neuroscience, but I'm not a neuroscientist. I've done clinical psychology for 43 years and the neuroscience for about 10. So, I don't know, I've got a fair amount of background with, you know, what I'm talking about. And it's not my stuff. It's just, you know, research that I have done or information I have acquired on my own. So, we have, and this is up for debate, but it's between 50 and 100 trillion cells. For our purposes, why don't we just say 75 trillion cells within our body? And just for your information, all those cells replenish themselves every 7 years. It's either 7 or 9 years. You have a complete set of new cells. And cells are like little people. They have cardiovascular system, a digestive system, you know, things of that nature like we do. They think and they process and they communicate. So if you wanted to imagine, inside of you are 75 trillion little people. So you're a community, as we might expect, right? And everybody's communicating among everybody else based on what information is coming in from the outside, from the environment, what the mind perceives in the environment goes inside to different cells, and the cells start communicating with one another. And cells are, they move away from toxins, things that are negative, things that are unhealthy in the body. Cells generally move away from that kind of stuff, right? And the nutrients and growth type things that occur in the body, they move towards. Yeah? Okay, so they're kind of smart. They kind of have an understanding of what to avoid and what to attract to. So they get, they perceive something in the environment, and what happens is that the cells either attract to growth or they attract to, protection. And they communicate to the hypothalamus, which is the part of the brain, I want to make sure I get all this stuff right for you guys, which is the part of the brain that interprets perception, right? Okay. And this is real common. This happens all the time. This is going on all the time. There's, in a single second, there's 400 billion bits of information that come in to the mind. And the mind only processes, 40 million bits, just this little tiny amount. And so the hypothalamus interprets this perception that's going on outside the body, and based on perceptions of your mind, it sends information to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus, of course, directly goes to the pituitary gland, which is like this master gland in your head, right? And what happens is the pituitary sends signals to all the 75 trillion cells that were going towards growth, positive stuff. We're being attracted towards health and well-being. Or if they interpret the perception as a negative thing or harmful, then what the pituitary gland does is it sends down to the adrenal glands. Those are the two glands that are in the top of your kidneys, information to release stress hormones, for protection. So you understand that if the trillion cells are doing growth and healing and that sort of positive stuff, everything stays in your core, right? To allow that growth and that healing and all of the positive things to occur. From the pituitary gland, it communicates that. Now, if it's a negative kinds of things that's being interpreted, your perception, then it goes down to the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands go ahead and kick out the stress hormones. And the stress hormones send all of the energy, so to speak, to the extremities. So the typical example a lot of people use is, if you're being chased by a lion, you need all of the blood and all of the energy and everything to the extremities, to your arms and legs, so that you can figure out the fastest way to get away without being harmed. This is not a time to have all of your energy and blood focused on the core and growth and being creative. This is not a time for that. You're not going to be that if you're dead. So the adrenal gland sends out all that stress hormones, right? Now, here's the problem. The problem comes up with the stress hormones. What would be the obvious thing? They shut off the immune system. And the immune system is what you want to build up and get really strong and dynamic, and it's going to withstand all kinds of harmful bacteria and viruses and sicknesses and ill health and disease, right? But when the stress hormones are sent out, right, going from the hypothalamus to the pituitary to the adrenals, it shuts down the immune system. And now you're going to get sick. Okay? Now, if it's for an extended period of time, for sure you're going to get sick because there's nothing to fight anything off. Here, a lot of people know this part, and some don't, but I'll just mention it again. So we all have in our bodies diseased genes and germs. We all have sickness and ill health in the form of genes and germs that are just laying dormant. Like, for instance, right now I'm feeling really good. I've been feeling really good. You know, I don't have any sicknesses or ill health or anything. But I still have diseased genes and germs in my body that are dormant. You can even have viruses that are dormant, right? And as long as your body is healthy and strong and, you know, all the cells are doing the things they're supposed to be doing, none of that's going to show up. But as soon as your immune system takes a dive, takes a dump from the hormones, stress hormones, now all of that stuff wake up. They were suppressed, and now they wake up. So these germs and genes, disease genes, parasites, viruses, what they call these things are opportunistic genes. Meaning they're in your body right now. And they're in everybody's body right now. But as long as the cells are being attracted to the growth and repair, there's no reason for these genes to surface. Here's the second part. And again, this is one big whole picture of, you know, why we get sick or how we get sick. This is really pretty simple stuff. So the other half of the explanation goes, you get sick when you're under stress because you are not replacing cells at the normal rate. All right. So let me kind of paint you a little picture here for that one. So cells, imagine a cell. Just pretend like there's a little bubble out here and it's a cell. And what happens is that it splits and becomes two. Okay? So when you're not under stress and there are no stress hormones, the 75 trillion cells are all able to, divide and become two. Because, I forget the number. It's like 100,000 cells die per second. And 100,000 cells per second grow. You lose that many, you get that many every second, right? So if your cells are under stress, right, they're not able to double and they're not able to replenish, or they're not replacing the cells at the normal rate. So, for instance, if we're just saying 75 trillion cells you have, and that's probably pretty darn accurate, all of a sudden you might have 10 trillion cells less. So those cells are not there to do the protection, that you need to have them be doing. And the less and less you have of the cells, the more they die off, the more they're not able to duplicate, the greater the possibility is that you become sick. What do they say? The lining of your gut, I took a note here on the side, all of the cells in your gut, your intestines, replenishes, duplicates every 3 days. And, what's this other statistic? 800,000 people a year being treated for cancer die from the treatment procedure or modality, chemotherapy. Because what does chemotherapy do? It kills the cells. Okay? So all of a sudden, we're depleting the amount of cells in the body that are required to sustain growth and protection. And if you get a cancer, obviously that you brought on yourself, you upregulated those genes, right? And they give you chemotherapy where they go in and burn the hell out of everything inside your body, so to speak, right? They're killing cells in great numbers to where those cells are no longer able to duplicate, and you have fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer cells. And there's 800,000 people that die every year from the treatment. That's the way they word it. Those aren't my words. That's the way they word it. From the treatment, and they specifically mention chemotherapy as one of the treatments that people die from. So sometimes it's even just, that's back to the old conversation with Western medicine and, Newtonian versus quantum physics. I thought that was pretty interesting stuff. I'm sure you've all heard of it, what I just kind of gave you before, but it's kind of neat to go back through that. Who did I get this from today? Dr. Bruce Lipton, that's what it was. He has a new video on YouTube. Oh gosh, I've been pressing on this table and I forgot that it squeaks. You guys, sometimes when I'm talking in here, I don't pay attention to what I'm doing, and so therefore I don't listen for the squeaks. But when I go back and play the podcast back, I always notice there was noise, and then I realized what the noise was from. I just realized I had my arms on the table for most of this, so my apologies. So anyway, interesting information. I want to hit one other area. Common sense, neuroscience stuff. So I'm going to generalize this one, and I can go into more detail if you want. But we pretty much upregulate disease genes based on beliefs and perceptions we got from third trimester to age 7, right? And we grow up and we don't acquire disease genetically. That's only 0.04, not even 0.5%. of disease is caused through genetics. The example they use is sickle cell. But anyway, you have these self-limiting beliefs. And the majority of people, all of us, majority of people have self-limiting beliefs. Now, if your life is going well, that means your belief systems that you acquired when you were a little peep, right, are in harmony with where your thinking and your mind and your brain are at your current age. But if you find yourself struggling in certain areas, then your self-limiting beliefs are in conflict with that, with your conscious self today and what you would like to have happen. And in order to find out what area that is, you just figure out where's your struggle at in life. And for example, it might be money. And for whatever reason, hell or high water, you cannot acquire enough money to sufficiently maintain your livelihood. So you have a self-limiting belief about how to make money and your views and perceptions about money in general. And it's important that you reprogram, right, the computer, and change that. So I did some research on that, and there's a bunch of different ways to do it. I mean, call me up. I'd love to do some reprogramming with some people. It's kind of fun. This is another one that I came across today that I thought was noteworthy, and you can do it right now. I mean, you can start practicing this specific technique to reprogram your self-limiting beliefs that are causing conflict in your life. And I forget the lady's name. She was on YouTube. Some kind of psychology lady or something. I did not know her, but she seemed fairly reputable for all I know. But so NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is a form of treatment in psychology. For treating people with different kinds of things going on. It's just one form. It's a real good form of therapy. And a lot of therapists use it. Well, she likes it, and she talked about it. And she was going to give you an idea on how you can rewire your self-limiting belief systems. And the way she says to go about it is this way. And it's kind of trickery to your subconscious. What you're trying to do is trick your subconscious, right? Self-limiting beliefs are in your subconscious, obviously. They're 95, 99% of what you do every day is based on your subconscious belief systems, period. Don't argue about it. That's just the way it is. And if some of these beliefs get in your way, then you have to go in and reprogram. One of the ways to do that is through NLP. Yeah? And the subconscious can be duped or tricked. All right? So if you talk in terms of, I am not very good at making money, right? That's a negative. And your subconscious is going to go in and find every possible means and ways to substantiate that. I am statements. I am not a good public speaker. Right? That might be another one. But you get the idea, right? Yeah? And with NLP, of course, neuro, brain, linguistic, words, programming. So what it basically does is give you tools or techniques to use that are brain and word means to reprogram using your brain and different words. So when you say I am not a very good public speaker, that's a negative. And if you go back, that's present tense, right? I am. And if you go back to I was a good public speaker, right? So the negative is the present, and the past tense is what you're wanting to change. The limiting belief is in the past, and you're wanting to make it a positive thing. I have always been a good public speaker. So you kind of have to jump on the bandwagon that I need to convince my subconscious that I am okay with making money. I am okay with public speaking. I am okay with, relationships or whatever have you. So you take the present tense, I am not very good at public speaking, I am not very good at making money, to, in the past tense, I've always been very good at making money. I've always enjoyed public speaking. Get the idea of that? So you can practice that. So if you can figure out and, write down 5 things that you think are limiting beliefs in your system, in yourself, that are causing problems and obstacles for you to continue to grow and move forward, right? Just write down 5 that you think are the problem areas. And then say one of them to you in present tense. I'm not good at public speaking at all, and change that to, I've always enjoyed public speaking. I've always done a really good job at public speaking. You see how you do that? And what it is, it's a way to trick your subconscious into going and finding all the information and ways and means for you to continue to be an excellent public speaker. As opposed to the other way, the subconscious is going and trying to validate that you're not. Now you have your subconscious working to validate that you are good. So anyway, that was kind of another little tidbit I ran across today. I thought that was pretty interesting. I certainly have started using it again today a little bit, and I'm going to see how that goes for me. 28:44, so it's about time. I hope you all have a good evening. What day is it? Wednesday. Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. We're getting near Friday. Yay. But anyway, God bless everybody. Take care of one another, and I look forward to talking to you all again real soon. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.